So Siam, in the last few episodes, we've heard about your journey from Bangladesh to United States. You've finished your master's, built your career in tech, and also we've heard that you've made a big leap of faith and started your entrepreneurial journey in the US. We are really looking forward to hear like how did it go from that point. I mean, you've been through a lot when you were studying and also helping people with different online forums, but this is a huge step, quitting your very successful job and then taking this big leap of faith. How did it go from there?
Yeah, so this was in 2018, so 1 year after I got my green card. And I don't know if you remember in the last episode we discussed that like when I said this to my manager, I was making 140 per annum, very stable job in Baltimore. I was working 4 to 6 hours a week. I was almost unfireable because I was the amount of strength I had in the like overall mobile app or overall technical department, it was very strong. Like it was not worth for the company to fire me. So when I said my manager that hey, like I'm leaving it for to start something of my own, my manager asked like, okay, do you have any plan? I said like, no, I don't have any plan. Basically, from that point, February 2018 is when I left my job. And I don't know if you remember, one of the things I did is that I had like a, let's say 8 to 10 years of runway, like single person runway. I can eat minimum, stay in a minimum cheap place in US and basically survive. And my thesis was that even if I'm the dumbest person, if I'm rolling the dice many times, then I'll eventually hit it. So I have to just keep rolling the dice. I didn't have any specific plan exactly. I had a high level territory on what will I do, but no specific like roadmap. And I had a high level mental goal that okay, like I will give myself 5 years maximum to make the same amount of money annually what I am doing from a job from my own business, but stable income. So I had this 5 years of this jumping period maximum, but I also thought that okay, I'm not super smart, let's give myself a little bit long time. So that was the thing. So by the time I had green card, so I could also exit US, because when I was waiting for my green card, before that I was in H1B. You know that in this kind of visas it's difficult to travel abroad. So in green card time, actually before I got the green card, there are some sacrifices I had to do which are kind of hidden. So number one is that let's say for almost 7 years I didn't come to Bangladesh. So my parents visited me. My parents visited me in LA. They visited me in New York, but I didn't come to Bangladesh. And a lot of my kind of like relatives or like close people, they were kind of like dying. Like I had my grandma, which is my mom's mom. Yeah. She also died, and I couldn't go because I was in this risk situation of the green card. And I mean, I will not go too much into my old childhood, but part of my life I also grew up with my grandmother because my parents were both back in Saudi Arabia. And then I was kind of growing up a little bit with her, few years when I was by myself in Bangladesh. So it was kind of like tough for me to see that okay, like sure, I'm getting the US green card, I'm having a good job, but I am so suffocated in kind of like a jail that I couldn't do this like people are dying and I cannot go in you know. So the first thing I did is that after I left my job, honestly I just came to Bangladesh, stayed with my parents for almost 4 to 5 months. You cannot stay outside more than US more than 6 months, otherwise yeah, you'll lose the green card. So I was staying there almost for 5 months, just literally just, I think I probably got a little bit burnt out with all this running and all these career related things. So this was my first break, like let's say sabbatical or something. And yeah, now I'm a big proponent of sabbaticals. Like every 7 years, it's proven that you should take a career break, at least for 1 year. You shouldn't work for 1 year, every 7 years. Anyway, I came and then I had some ideas of doing something, and I don't know in the last episode, I think I talked about this, this project I had, higher study abroad, which was a Facebook group. And in the Facebook group, there were, it was growing, and I wanted to make something basically with the group. So my first idea, and I think you will be able to relate because you are also originally from Bangladesh, is that whenever we are abroad and we kind of make it, the first business idea which comes is always to do something in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, we have seen this in US, we have seen this in Europe, okay, let's make this in Bangladesh because you can see the gap, why would you not do it? I wanted to capitalize on this higher study abroad group, where I don't know in 2018 what was the member, but it was more than 100k members already in the group. Remember that I'm coming from back then from a complete tech background, development, full hardcore technical background. So the first thing I thought that I will use technology to basically solve this problem. There are
Was it in 2018?
2018.
Okay.
This is 2018 I came to Bangladesh, and then I had one of these teammates from higher study abroad. He was very passionate about machine learning. I mean, now machine learning is ubiquitous, but back then it was picking up. And then basically my idea was that I will take how can we use the machine learning for basically this case, meaning that there are so many people who are coming from different universities with different CGPA, with different GRE scores, and then there are so many universities in the US who have different requirements for entry, like admissions or scholarship. So basically mapping the profile. You say that which university you're coming from, blah blah blah, all these things, and it will do a recommendation engine based on your profile. We tried that project for 3 to 4 months, but obviously it didn't go through, or it didn't, once we launched, we had very low traction, very low user sign up. So I won't say that is my first company, but let's say that's my first stab at basically more like a project or company which I wanted to form, didn't register it. So the first learning was that you don't build a product without talking to the customers. So this was in 2018. Anyway, so I came back to US, and because I had my newfound green card right now, and you know that because I like traveling, I started traveling all around nearby US, so Mexico, Canada, and some of the countries which gets unlocked because of this green card thing. And then I was frequently going to this Toronto, because I had a lot of people who are my alumni from the same university I graduated with. And one of my friends said that, hey, you are helping people to come from Bangladesh to the US, why are you not helping them on the next stage? So we basically started brainstorming, and one of the good ideas came that, that time I think income share agreement was getting popular by Lambda School and all these boot camps, and boot camps are also getting popular. So I'm okay, maybe we can basically help them land jobs. So I started this with 2 other people. One is my kind of classmate from the same university, he was from CS. And another person was a friend of friend who was in Silicon Valley for a few years. So this 3 people. And then I don't know if you remember, but that time one of the job market was really good. This was 2019, tech jobs were everywhere. And then I think we started in August or something, and within 2 months we had our first person who landed job, and we started making money. And we had our big first revenue, and I got exposed to monthly recurring revenue, because this is not just one-time money, it's recurring coming. So I'm oh, this is fun. But we started having a little bit different problem, because I have never actually done a company before, and this is my in that scale with a team and that kind of thing. So we started hitting a different type of problem. And the problem is that we started having some kind of conflict within our co-founders. And co-founder conflicts are very normal, but I was not exposed to this because I have never built a company before. I didn't work with this kind of situation before. And the conflict was that basically we had some, of course you will have conflict, but we had some fundamental philosophical differences. So the other 2 co-founders, they are more about keeping a system closed. So they wanted to keep everything closed. Closed meaning decision making, because we all started, 3 of us in August, and we started bringing some of our friends as mentors. We started bringing our students. I actually pulled a lot of people from higher study abroad, my Facebook group. They knew me, they also came because of that. But the decision making process, at least from my co-founders, they were all about keeping things closed and like in the board echo chamber kind of thing. And I'm someone who is all about like making things transparent and open, and even if there is a new idea even by someone junior, it comes through. This wasn't, I mean, because we started having money, we kind of like okay, let's just sideline it, but this was bothering both of the sides because I was trying to push it in one direction, I was the CEO, and they were also pushing it in another direction in terms of decision making. We started having this conflict bigger and bigger, especially when the revenue was increasing. I think after 6 months of forming the company, it was starting to become unbearable for both parties. So I had my two co-founders, they were kind of together on this viewpoint, and this is kind of unfortunate that for such an early stage company, we started having company politics, like, oh, they are trying to protect themselves, they are trying to convince some of the teammates, students. It was just becoming toxic and ugly. And for the first 6 months or first couple of years, you should only focus on revenue and actually building a team, not dealing with internal politics. So anyway, I got a little bit kind of like, I decided to make some bold moves, and what I did is that I put like a kind of like an announcement in the common, like all the teammates, that hey, I wanted to have a discussion, that we wanted to make everything transparent. But I didn't do it only with the board, I did it with all the teammates, everyone who was a mentor, we had operations person, a lot of the people who are basically my friends, old friends. And the board did not really like it very well, because in the 3 co-founders, all of these people were in the board seat and everyone didn't have board seat. And I didn't know what is a board member, what is a shareholder. I never built a company before. These are all foreign to me. So I will definitely remember this day. This was in COVID, May 2020. I got called in Zoom, and I was in Buffalo, New York, in some COVID like post like very sad house, whatever, just by myself. And then my co-founders, they called me and said that Siam, you are fired. So basically I got fired from my own company. I even have the PDF. After the Zoom meeting, they sent me a PDF, signed a DocuSign. Yeah. I have the DocuSign, that okay, I will keep the DocuSign for the day, for a Steve Jobs moment kind of thing. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna save the PDF. And basically, I definitely didn't like it. And then they said that, hey Siam, you will not be a CEO anymore. You can be the chief marketing officer, but you will not have any say on many of the things, blah, 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 like a very constricted role. And what I have decided is that, okay, like this is not something I can do. So I just made an announcement in the Slack community that, hey guys, I am like, I'm letting everyone know that I'm leaving the company. You guys are going to be handled by this group. Literally with the first 24 hours, if you look at the Slack messages, man, this was something to see. Like every few minutes, every few hours, there is this new message coming that Siam is leaving the company, we'll leave the company. Both the students and the mentors. Literally in the Slack, like literally like, I think like probably like 30 messages back to back coming.
That really says you have had really strong impact. I mean, during this short time of your, time in that company, right?
Definitely. I mean, the thing is that 70% of the students who are the customers came through me. 70% of the mentor panel came through me, but somehow the board was kind of closing everything within this thing. Anyway, that was a very interesting moment, and then I basically kind of like said, oh, so it kind of started becoming more ugly in the way that I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with them. This is again a philosophical difference, but this is how things start and become kind of, like you've seen the OpenAI case, what happened. Anyway, so majority of the people were actually the people who had the stakes. There was more than 51% vote for the shareholders for my side. So actually the board, whatever the board decides, it's kind of like not executable, because I still had more people on my side who could actually raise me in the board again, like reissue me in the board. So basically I just sent them a legal notice, and then they sent me a legal notice. Then it started becoming more like a legal battle. I think we spent, both parties, probably not too much because we were doing it with our lawyer friends, probably 2,500 per person, like per group started losing. And then both groups, after 3 months of massive traumatic situation, because I have never read Delaware C Corporation bylaws, I just did it with Stripe Atlas. I don't know these rules, I don't know article number, all these numbers, and what is a shareholder, what is a board of directors, what do you have to do when power comes to shove. That was a very painful moment. I was completely by myself and really kind of like stressed and traumatized, but finally both of the groups decided to come together and say that, hey guys, if we just keep doing these things to each other, eventually we will destroy our careers, we will destroy our company, whatever we have built, and then we will permanently jeopardize our future things as well. None of the investors will invest us anymore. Like, we're just like uninvestable. Like, if we go to a courtroom and like go through a full legal process. So we thought, okay, let's come to a mutual agreement. So finally I had another friend who came in as a kind of like arbitrator or like a mediator. So he mediated us. That was, man, that second, this like first official company Get Me Hired, such enormous learning experience for me. Number one is that whenever you're trying to build a company, of course, do it with like a company is basically a set of people. It's a team. The company is like a living organ, and if the living organism is not connected with each other, it will not be able to function. So that's number one. Number two is that it's probably for relationships, it's better to go slow. Like, it's better to test things out instead of jumping in and making, like it's like marriage. You shouldn't immediately get married. First date, like normal, gradual process, slowly build the relationship, see if you have philosophical alignment. We didn't know these things. Having the hard conversations before, having the conversation that, hey, once we become $1 million company, what will we do? Things like that. So this is something I slowly learned through this thing. But still, I would say the second project, like, or Get Me Hired as a company, I would say still is a better learning, that if you are building something people don't want, that is the worst mistake. But the second worst mistake is that choosing the wrong team or not having alignment in the team. So that's the second, I would say, like, learning from my second company. So I exited the company in a more like amicable manner, and I left the company to them. They kept the company, and they basically immediately after leaving the company, within literally the next day I filed for Algorizin as a new company, and within a month I started Algorizin, because now I'm like, I know everything. So yeah, Algorizin, obviously you are involved in Algorizin, so now you know, but this is kind of like the beginning story. 2020 July 10th is when Algorizin, I like filed for the Algorizin. Like, that's when we got the EIN, we formed the company. And actually, interestingly, the initial funding of the Algorizin was coming from the previous company, Get Me Hired, because when I exited, I made a deal that you have to also give some split of the previous revenue. So that was the first, I would say, like 6 months of funding almost. And then I had another friend who was trying to do a project, basically tech project. We had some people who, when we left Algorizin, when I left, actually, not only as saying it, when I left, actually, genuinely, a lot of the students did leave. And
you mean
from Get Me Hired, the agreement,
yeah.
they broke the agreement, or they was trying to break the agreement. And then majority of the people I took, not majority, all the people I took to Get Me Hired, they all left. All the mentors, they came from Get Me Hired to Algorizin. So basically, all the people you know now, like Tanzim or Romeo, they all migrated from there. And then by this time, I obviously know a little bit of this business, because this is similar. And instead of kind of the mistake of Get Me Hired, another one was that they were focusing all over. They were focusing Canada and too broad. And I decided to make it more narrow and just focusing in the US, because US market is very big. I didn't have to, do too many things. So the first year of Algorizin, it was pretty good. It was, going good. I guess within a year, the next year, Algorizin hit 100,000 in annual revenue. It's not much, but this is the first time from my own business I was able to make a 6-figure annual revenue, which is not much again. But this is the first time I reached it, so it felt like a good milestone, which I didn't reach in Get Me Hired. And Algorizin obviously grew a little bit faster than that, within a year, that kind of revenue. And then, as you know that, I told something in the beginning that my goal was that within 5 years, I wanted to make same type of money as a salary from my own company versus basically doing a job, like a corporate job. And within 3 years of forming Algorizin, I started to have basically my own salary, which is matching basically my old job.
Wherever you left.
Wherever I left. So, but now it's in my own company, so I have my equity, it will grow, when you are working in a job, you do not have, 2x, 3x growth every year. In a job, you can raise 5%, 10% of your salary, but so that's basically the thing. But in Algorizin, I think the long story short, now it's been 3 years. We have already helped roughly around 108 talents land jobs. You started being involved with us like almost 1.5 years ago from now. But in the last 3 years total combined, we had also a lot of B2B contracts. So one of our largest clients is IBM, where we're basically working as a staff augmentation agency. So that's also, we have a couple of those. We realized that a lot of companies which are small businesses or SMBs in the US, in many states, they don't have any idea about hiring the immigrants. So we helped roughly around 15 to 16 companies to help build their immigration infrastructure inside, so that they can help, so that it's easier to hire the immigrants. Obviously, last year 2023, we applied and got approved of 6 H1B applications, which is completely nuts for me, meaning I was so much in stress just few years ago in myself, and then I cannot believe that I can reduce that level of stress for
6 more
people with H1B. We also started doing green cards, so, and of course we have done probably more than 30 OPT or OPT extension talents by this time, with different types of projects with different clients. I would say Algorizin as a company is quite stable right now. We have a stable team. Obviously you are an internal person, you know majority of it, but for the audiences, it's much more stable. It's not shaky anymore as a company. But company aside, I'll talk a little bit about my personal growth. So my personal growth side is that, honestly, because I didn't do startups before, again, because this whole game on how a company is small, it grows up at different stage, the founder also have to evolve, and I don't know all these things. These are all new to me. So the first big problem which started happening is that I was overworking. Obviously I love building, I like working, so I was building all the time, but I was not taking care of my health, I was not taking care of my relationships. So I think in 2022, when the job market was kind of going low and we were signaling that, oh, there will be a depression coming, financial stagnation coming, most of the companies, big tech companies, stopped basically hiring or firing people. It was just starting to fire people. That time Algorizin's certainty was also being questioned, but I also, like, it all started kind of going down in 2022, although now it's good or better. But in 2022, this stability was being questioned, and then this also felt kind of sucked that time, but it came as a very good thing for me because I got some breathing space, some time to reflect. And the major reflection was that I spent so much time grinding and working and overworking, not taking care of my health, overnight works, not deprioritizing all my relationships. I think that is probably my biggest learning as this early hustle culture founder versus more balanced founder, that okay, no, I will have to take care of my health, I will have to take care of my relationships, and actually that will make me more productive. If someone said this to me, I would have not believed this 3 or 4 years ago, but I had to go through this almost burnout level experience. So 2022, kind of like end of September 2022, after 2 years of formation of the company, I decided to kind of like slow down intentionally. I gave almost 2 to 3 months of notice to majority of our teammates, and we actually, like Facebook or like all this big tech, we also went through a 50% reduction. I mean, very small company, but of the workforce. It was a hard decision. I have never fired in this kind of way before, so it was very tough for me, but I learned a lot. And then because of this reflection, I also learned so many things about myself, that I was actually a terrible manager before. I'm not saying that I'm good or great, legendary now, but I was terrible because I was always giving something, but always kind of like holding it very tightly, that like micromanage, not intentionally, because I love my product, I put so much effort, I was caring about it, I was not able to let go, and because of this not letting go, my company was not growing, because how will the leaders rise if I'm continuously monitoring them? And it also, I started seeing that these teammates were losing confidence in themselves because I didn't have confidence in them. I am not perfect on this right this moment now, but I am considerably better because now I'm more aware and I'm trying to work on it. So this was my first thing, and lot of, actually I also started taking feedbacks with all my teammates, and majority of the feedbacks came that, hey Siam, you are inspirational, like there are good qualities, but you need to trust people more a little bit, like when you are giving something to people, it's okay to make mistakes. And this is something which took me a long time to do it, but now if you actually have seen me from 2022 to now, you would see the transition, that how much I have changed. Of course it will take more to become perfect on this. Yeah, so I would say like I learned a lot about, as I said, like balancing or handling stress. When I'm feeling very stressed, especially as a leader, I decided that I obviously have been doing meditation for a long time, but I started embodying the practices of meditation here, that when I'm feeling stressed, not communicating, just reflecting and writing, and then when I set a little bit, actually many of these things are more clear, and not taking these decisions emotionally and convey these things emotionally, especially when I'm feeling anxious. So honestly, and also there is this uncertainty thing, like oh, we are having a heyday, but it can any day go bad. We are having a really terrible time, but it can be good. This framework which I had long back from my previous stories, that when I lost my funding or something, but I actually forgot many of these things because I was kind of in a very cushy full-time job, and full-time jobs kind of slowly make you forget this important skills of uncertainty muscle. That got retrained. But honestly, the fundamental, just to wrap up the Algorizins, like how it affected me, is that I became so process oriented. I do documentation. I learned so many skills from so many different directions, for my personal skills, people management skill, leadership, stress management, emotional regulation, so many multi-directional skills. Honestly, I would have not got this kind of learning if I went through any other career path. This is the most painful or most complex struggling career path, and this is the highest learning. Like the amount of learning you get in a startup if you build your company is insane. I think in the 3 years I feel like I grew in directionally probably like 10 years in a full-time job. Like in my previous company, first 1 year was growth. After that, for 3-4 years I was just chilling, no growth, only money was coming. Anyway, so I'm a big fan of the startup journey, entrepreneurial journey. I recommend everyone to try it if they can do it. But I went through this like last year, 2023, I went through this like kind of like, again, like a little sabbatical for my startup as well. It's low key because it's a bootstrap company. We really don't need to, we have cash flow, we have runway. So I didn't feel any pressure to like grow insanely fast, like while I'm not feeling good. So I went through like this startup sabbatical now, that okay, like let's actually take some reflection. And honestly, last year has been really good for me. I did the 10-day silent retreat Vipassana in Bali. That was really good. I fulfilled a lot of my dreams. I love traveling, so I got my US passport in 2022. So basically I traveled, I went to 20 countries last year, which is like insane. And in all this traveling and everything, I met a lot of people from different cultures. I practiced a lot of meditation, self-exploration, journaling, writing. And honestly, I think this is a grounding. Not grounding, like this reflection is something I really needed. And I think, honestly, I feel like this year, I'm feeling like this is version 2 of the founder coming. Like personally, I'm feeling like this is a more mature version of me. And this is so amazing that startup can actually give you this. Within 3 years, I'm becoming a new character. And the reflection was really, really, really helpful. So if you remember my original motivation from the time when I spoke with my mom that I want to save at least 1 year of every person I meet in my life. Basically now 2024 beginning, I'm so grateful that there is this Facebook group which I have built, Higher Study Abroad, which has more than 220,000 members. Out of that is 20,000 lives in the US, 10,000 lives in Europe, and this is one side. And then from Algorizin, we have landed jobs to 108 people, but we have roughly around 2,000 people in our community overall. And I think that the goal of saving one person every year, I think that has already been done like for more than thousands of times already. And this is something which is very profound for me, because remember that I am actually someone who is very average. I was an average person in the university. Me being able to do this from coming this kind of background, going through the gyro stand, all these things, me being able to do this impact is still completely unbelievable for me, even though I am not even, like, I'm just starting the journey. The journey is a game, is just starting, I'm feeling. But even then, the amount of impact is impossible for a person like me. It still feels like that. And then the impacts, like small stories, like from Higher Study Abroad, that this person didn't even have computer in their home, so they went to cyber cafes. I think you know the cyber cafes, right? You go and pay for the cyber cafes. He applied through the cyber cafe. He used our group, and then he got full scholarship in France in university. And then he's completely, he comes from a very poor family. Same with Algorizins. We had one student. She was from Nigeria. I'll not name any names here just for privacy, but she was originally from Nigeria, graduating from Syracuse University with a master's electrical engineering. She was really struggling because she wanted to go to computer science, and then she landed a job in Intuit, which is massive, 6-figure job. Like, so wow. Crazy, first job. There are so many like whenever I am having a low day, the motivation here is that whenever they come and say that, hey Siam, you or your project or Algorizin or Higher Study Abroad, it has completely changed my life. And this is something which I would even do honestly. Like, I obviously need money to run the company, but I also get so much pleasure out of it, just because I can see the people's lives change. It's not like they're just faking it. And I guess I'll kind of like wrap up this this phase of my journey, and kind of like my summary with this thing is that there is this like boundary of self, concept of boundary of self. So two things. One is that whenever you're helping someone, let's say I was one person a little bit who helped this person who came from this Bangladeshi village, went to Paris. This effect is not going to be only affecting this person, but whatever money they make, whatever education they goes through, they reinvest it in back home. They will maybe make a university school in the back home. They will probably pull some school. The first layer is these thousands of people's hours saved, but then there are ripple effects. Each person has tangential effect. It's completely immeasurable, the amount of impact you can have, number one. And then the boundary of self is basically what changed from me is that previously, because I came from Bangladesh, I originally grew up there. I used to identify myself primarily as a Bangladeshi, so my scope was only Bangladeshi. Me, Bangladesh, that was the thing. But honestly, because I lived in the US and I met so many global minds, my boundary of self is also expanded now. So it's basically all the 8 billion people and the planet and all the animals. Like, I don't have to limit myself. So this hunger of being able to help people as much as possible has only increased. It didn't go low that I'll just do a little regional thing. I'll actually do a global thing, and it has expanded. And that's why even wherever I come, I'm probably standing in one of my best dreams possible. Having a US passport coming from Bangladesh, having my own company, stable revenue, traveling so much, amazing lifestyle. But I am still equally excited as 10 years ago for the next adventure or expansion. But anyway, so that's basically kind of like my summary of my startup, like as far as now.
Thank you, Siam. Thank you for sharing all these stories. And although we know each other personally, we work together, but I have learned so many new stuff over these few days. we'll probably wrap it up by asking you two more questions. You will answer, and then we will be wrapping up our final episode. So, what's the future like from this point, and what is your suggestions for those who wants to pursue this journey, like become an entrepreneur?
Two questions, so I'll answer them separately. What am I excited about in the future? What's ahead in the future? Everything is ahead in the future. As you know that every year there are 200,000 international students graduating from the US, new international students. And every year there are 1 million new immigrants entering the US. So this is a massive market. We have only helped very small percentage of it, almost nothing. My first goal or first horizon is definitely to be able to help all these people at scale. I think for the last 3 years we only scratched the surface of what the problem is. We know that we have a team, we have a product, so I believe we have a product market fit, but the next stage is what we have to basically figure out, which is how do I scale, because I've never scaled before. This is the first time, and scaling is really hard. Like, there are a lot of different types of roadblock. The same founder cannot scale. It has to be a different founder. So I'm trying to basically understand how to play this part of the game, and so that I can be able to help all these people. And in general, if I be more specific, I think what I'm most excited about in this year's Horizon milestone is that we're building an immigration co-pilot. So this is basically anyone who is coming as an immigrant, they will give their data and we'll be able to help them with their entire green card pathway and all kind of legal things using LLMs and machine learning. I think that's where the majority of the expenses go to the lawyers. Of course, we will have lawyers too. Lawyers will be part of the platform, but much of this automated mundane work will go away. So that's what I'm excited about in terms of the scope of Algorizin, and obviously the mission can go long. For advice, I won't say for entrepreneurs or students, or like, I will not put any labels, but I will share my fundamental principles of my life, and that could be interesting for some. So I added one more last year, but it takes a long time, many years, for me to add a new principle into my operating system. I had the first principle is called take risks, very simple. I think life is so short, and then if you don't take risks, it's actually not worth, like, you gain way more by taking risks. If you look at my trajectory, everything I have gained is through taking risks. Like, all the jumps, I fell down, I got hurt, but the rise was 10x more, 100x more. And by this time, I have confidence that I have found the pattern already. So now I'm confident. Previously, I wasn't confident. So take risks, that's number one. And second one is be kind. It's very cliche, I know, but it is so powerful that all my stories and all my personal journey has been so much through kindness, both receiving and giving. So I have received a lot of kindness from a lot of people, and I remembered those, as you mentioned in the previous episode. But I also try to help people. I always try to come from the angle that, hey, how can I help you? So being kind and being helpful is something which is in my framework, like in my DNA. I even thought of having 2 tattoos, take risks, be kind, 2 hands. But now I cannot do it because I have the third one and I don't know where to put the tattoo anymore. The third one is basically stay equanimous. This is something a little bit harder word, but this is something which came from the meditation, is that there will be ups and downs, there will be a lot of volatility in life. Life is uncertain in general. Either you go through relationships, either you go through company, there's always ups and downs. You know that. We all know life is never going to be stagnant and flat.
Yes.
But being kind of in the center, like equanimous means like being calm and then calmly deciding instead of anxiously or agitatedly or attachedly deciding. So I decided that, okay, take risks, be kind and stay equanimous is my 3 principles right now, which is embedded in my system. So that's what I'll kind of like yeah, that's my philosophy. I'll just share it, and if people can benefit from it, they can test it out. So that's it.
All right, Siam, thank you very much for your story and your advice. I'm sure, like you said, many will be interested in learning about your story and also might get benefit from this advice. With that note, I want to echo with your first two advice: take risk and be kind. With that note, we want to finish this series. Maybe in future we will start another show. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tarek, and thanks a lot for everyone for listening.